Okay.
All right. It's 8:00 and we should be live. All right. We got a bunch of people here already. And
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bruchim Habayim. Does anyone remember what that word means from last week? If you don't, it means welcome.
Right.
Welcome, everybody.
And we have a guest tonight. Patty's cousin is here, who also happens to have quite a incredible background we're going to talk about tonight a little bit.
Yeah, her name is Terry.
Terry
So
Evans.
say hi, Terry, everybody.
Yep. So Patty's going to light the candles, and we're going to begin welcoming Shabbat.
Okay. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'adlik shel Shabbat. I'm having a little difficulty with this one because it's gotten really deep
That's okay.
and I can't quite
That's okay.
get it. So
We'll get the torch out of it.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
go.
Now I want to say the additional blessing
Right.
over the bread and the wine.
There you go.
And you guys might notice we have real wine this week.
Right.
We have been on a 30-day wine fast and for health and other reasons, and it was fun. It was good, but we're really grateful.
Thank you, Jesus.
To have it again tonight. Okay, so I'm going to say Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzei lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our God, ruler of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam borei krei hagafen. Blessed are you, Yehovah, or Yahweh, our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. So I'm going to enjoy a little fruit of the vine right now, and maybe everybody else is. We'll just say,
yeah, or whatever, grape juice or whatever. Orange juice is a fruit of the vine. All right, and as you know, we begin with the Shema Israel. It's been a hard week for my brothers and sisters in Israel.
all over the world, too.
All over the world. So we draw nearer to the power of all power. Shema Israel. Hear, O Israel, Elohim our Elohim. Elohim is one. And you shall love Elohim your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, very exceedingly. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be upon your heart and taught incisively to your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house and as you walk along the way, and when you lie down and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as bands between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorframes of your house and your gates. Because Elohim made a covenant with you in Horeb on the day of assembly. Sorry, this really means something to me, as you can see. I had a little trouble there, and I've read it so many times. The covenant of Horeb. Holy God, man, we got some things going on. We have the Horeb Institute coming online. And then the importance of the Sabbath, the second commandment in the Moses scroll, but wherever you get your 10 from. Sanctify the seventh day, and you shall cease on it, because in 6 days I made the heavens and the earth, and all that is in them, and I ceased on the seventh day. Therefore you shall also cease, you and your animal and all that is yours. I am Elohim, your Elohim. Wow, that is a powerful, powerful statement.
Yeah.
An oddball commandment according to all the other religions on the earth.
What other religion commands a Sabbath day for your animals? I mean, that is just so
None.
beautiful.
So I like to go back this week in September 30th. Well, you might not like him or you might like him, but Rabbi Israel Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem Tov was born this week in 5458 or 1698 in the current calendar. He was born in a small town in Ukraine. His father, Rabbi Eliezer, who was a member of the Society of the Hidden Tzaddikim, the Hidden Righteous, passed away when young Israel was only 5 years old. And his last words were purported to have been, "Fear nothing but God alone." Love every Jew with all your heart and all your soul. Oddly enough, in 1814, today was published The Star-Spangled Banner, lyrics by Francis Scott Key and the tune by John Stafford Smith. And another thing I thought was kind of interesting, in 1830, the first Negro Convention of Freemen agrees to boycott slave-produced goods. So there's some people who originally started the concept of we don't want slaves. They were the first Negro Convention of Freemen. That's an amazing thing. I really wanted to, welcome everyone, and we're grateful that people have shown up and are listening. We're going to talk about some interesting things tonight. But first, Pat's going to talk about the Hebrew word of the week. We're trying to throw these out.
The Hebrew word of the week is cousin, because I have my beloved cousin Terry here with me. I thought cousin would be a really good word. And so for the masculine singular is ben dod, and it really means son of uncle.
Very, very descriptive.
Bat dod is daughter of uncle.
Right.
Ben doda is son of aunt, and bat doda is daughter of aunt. And if you have more than one cousin or a group of cousins, it's B'nai dodim.
Right.
So you see the plural ending I am, and son, really it just means sons of uncles.
All right. So now just say welcome.
Okay, Bruchim Bat Dod.
Yeah.
Bruchim Bat Dod. Let's all
There
say
you go.
Bruchim Bat Dod to Terry.
Baruchim Bat Dod.
Cousin, yes, and so
Of course, Jared really teaches you the
depth of the meaning.
Yeah.
Is someone saying something?
There's a lot of things on the side.
All right, we'll get to all of your questions later, but I'd like to introduce my cousin Terry. Terry Evans is a doctor of Oriental medicine, a Florida licensed acupuncture physician certified in Chinese herbology, homeopathy, acupuncture, facelift, Dr. Tan, Choreo hand acupuncture, bioterrain sciences, acupuncture injection therapy, low level laser, functional blood chemistry, functional endocrinology, and beyond nutrition. She's probably added some more items to her menu since this was written, but she has taken her knowledge, education, and experience and has developed the Magnifier Health Program and is the director and owner of TAE, or the pronounced high. TAE Healthy Aging Center and a member of the Florida State Oriental Medical Association. So Terry, she doesn't like to be called doctor. Please call her Terry. She's going to be here. She's going to give a little presentation about some of her thoughts, and maybe as they relate to the Bible, maybe I guess the importance of a day of rest, and answer any questions you might have.
And one other thing that Terry and I talked about that I hope she talks about is that the current medicine, brings us up to a certain place, and we can't just depend on that medicine to keep us whole. We have to look forward to how do we live our lives, and how can we heal ourselves. So
and also
if you mentioned some of that, Terry, you had some really good words on that.
Yeah, good idea. So instead of a reactive, she has more of a proactive.
And they're both good, though. I love the fact that you're not saying one without the other. You're saying, God gave us a gift
together, and Terry's going to talk about that a little bit, and I'm so excited to have her here. So
you can change the slide. There you go.
Oh, I thought that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Do you want to kick off with Terry right now? Do you want to say a few words, Terry?
Yeah. I can talk about alternative medicine is really the original medicine because we take the whole person. So Western medicine or allopathic medicine was developed over the last couple hundred years. So it's the more recent medicine. And people think because I'm an alternative practitioner that I'm against Western medicine or allopathic, and I'm not. I say that allopathic medicine has a beautiful ability and gift to halt progression, sustain life. If somebody comes in my office, here's a story. I did a blood work once, and her blood work comes back, sugar 295.
Oof, what up?
I'm on the phone. Hello, you were in the wrong place. Go to the emergency room. She wouldn't go. And at that point, she's at a halt and sustain point.
Right.
She's not at a repair and restore place.
Right.
So I finally was able to get her into the emergency room because 300 is a coma.
Yeah.
So, or
Yeah.
it was 395
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So the two medicines work beautifully together. Unfortunately, she did choose, hey, I kind of like this stuff. I just take some pills. I'm good. I'm okay.
Right.
And she kept on her path.
Right.
Of course, down the road, things are going to come out sideways
Right.
because taking medication or even having a surgery, it's not going to heal.
Right.
It will halt progression, sustain life.
Right.
If you want to become whole,
Right.
then you have to repair and restore. So I kind of say that allopathic to me looks more like a forgiveness type medicine.
Yeah.
God has gifted many people with some
Right.
beautiful gifts to do that,
Right.
to help people
Doctors.
with cancers. And I mean, they're gifted
Surgeons.
surgeons.
Right.
What I
ER
see-
doctors.
Yes.
Ross's son is an ER doctor.
Okay.
Ty.
So, and he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in halt and sustain for sure.
Yeah.
That's the person.
Stop the
His
bleeding.
job is
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
breathing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, though, the person has to take some kind of responsibility, or they can choose not to. And then they go back and they may end up in the same place again,
Right.
where they have the net that's thrown under them.
Right.
And now we've sustained your life.
Yeah.
How are you going to live that life?
Right.
A lot of times people think, well, I'll just take medications and I'm good. That's not good. We have an ability to be whole. We have an ability to live a life that is so connected with God. And it's not a life that's from fear.
Right.
It's not a life that's from restriction.
Right.
People think, well, there's all these rules.
Right.
No, there's guidelines.
Right.
You can choose to
Right.
follow the rules.
Right.
And if you do, you probably will have a better quality of life.
Yes.
But when people fall off of
Right.
the path
Right.
and then they want to get healthy or whole again,
Yeah.
many times they seek and they continue to do Western medicine.
Right.
That's where I find that it's more ego to
Right.
me.
Yeah.
You know, people are having control over another person's life. So I find that medicine steps over the line when that happens, and I feel that they need to hand them off to a person like myself that
Right.
journeys with them.
And you're in for the journey.
I'm in for the journey. I said, God, why can't I have that hands-on healing? And he said, because you're in for the journey. You journey with people. And sometimes it's like taking a lead brick up a sand hill.
Yeah.
And we get up the sand hill, we get up to the top, and it's like, oh, yay. I put the brick down, and then they fall back down. And then we get up and do it again.
Yeah.
So that's what I
That's really beautiful.
Do you
I think
feel with the Western medicine, you said there might be a little ego in there, but you see maybe a sense of laziness in the patients? And they just don't want to do the work.
Yeah. And people, we call it healthcare. And I would really like to take that word and really change it to the word it is. It's disease care.
Yeah.
That medicine, they are both necessary.
Right.
Right.
Both. Because people want to do what they want to do. And I really, I grew up with foods, and I don't think I ever went to a doctor. You know, I grew up with a person, my grandmother, that she would put a salve on you. You know, she wouldn't send you to the doctor for stitches. And if you had a cold, she'd wrap you up in blankets and make you sweat it out. So I was kind of naive to how far down the rabbit hole we went with this other type of medicine.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of disheartening to see.
Right.
But I find being in the medicine, because I'm kind of a smart person, I thought, of course I can guide people. You know, if you were going to want this stuff, all I have to do is educate them. And what I found was Americans, especially, not so much Europeans. Europeans are a little bit different. Many people are comfort addicts. They love and they want what they want, and they don't want to make any changes. So unfortunately, they won't make any changes or see anything or see the way of the woe of their ways until they hit the wall.
Right.
That's why I say we have this forgiveness medicine that is halt and sustain,
Mhm.
and which is beautiful. Unfortunately, though, people say that's my health care.
Right, right.
Well, what are you doing for your health?
Mhm.
Well, I go, I have health care.
Mhm.
I have insurance, health insurance. I
Yeah.
go to see the doctor. And what did they tell you? Oh, everything's fine.
Right.
Until it's not.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right,
now we
right.
have we've moved in an arena in alternative medicine
Mhm.
to kind of start demanding prevention.
Mhm.
And people are starting to get what we're doing
Yeah.
because I can see things. I had a woman that came in. I said, if you don't change your ways, which I've grown, I can't tell a person what to do.
Mhm.
Can't take anything away.
Right.
So I
Right.
have to only make suggestions.
Yes.
So I said this, and this, and she said, "Oh, what? I'm not going to make any changes." She went to her doctor and told him what I had said, and he's like, "She's crazy. You're fine." 2 years after, everything I said came to fruition
Mhm.
because that's where if you don't
The
make
path
changes,
she's on.
here's where
Right.
you're going.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to see that
Mhm.
because in my license, I now have, which I've had for 30 years,
Mhm.
qualification to order any kind of diagnostic testing
Right.
and to read it in the realm of what's out of balance, what's not functioning properly.
Mhm.
And then if I can help the person to guide them back to function,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you're going to have a healthier life. The situation is many people, I want to make those changes.
Right,
All right, then hit the wall, go to your halt and sustain. And if you choose to, come back to me. But we're gonna journey, and it's gonna take some work, and you're probably gonna have to make some changes.
Right, right. Does anybody have any questions for Terry? I have a couple if y'all are thinking or Terry, I was wondering, do you get much pushback from the pharmaceutical companies and the business? I mean,
Pharmaceutical company, if we all became healthy,
Mhm.
they'd be out of business.
our economy would go down into the toilet because our economy is so dependent upon disease care.
Mhm.
Mhm. Right, right.
Like I said, I'd like to change the name to disease care because that's what it is.
Right.
So they make the choices. I respect any decision a person makes.
Right.
And there are many. I worked with a gentleman. He was probably on, I don't know, 30 meds
Oh my God.
back in, this was the late 90s.
Mm.
And unfortunately, he had a heart disease that was
Yeah.
rare
Right.
Mhm.
that he could like drop dead. So they started with one drug, next drug.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you start to create side effects.
Oh yeah.
So then you take another med.
Right.
So
To
his
counter the
physician,
side effect.
yeah, his doctor and I worked closely together
Mhm.
to wean him down. He got down to about 3 or 4 drugs,
Uh-huh.
and they were life sustaining.
Yeah.
So that's necessary
Yeah.
to sustain life.
Right.
Right, right.
And I was able to override the side effects of anything else.
Mhm.
So that's his quality of life went up exponentially.
Yeah.
But he chose to do the work.
Right.
He
Mhm.
chose to make the changes.
Yes. That's the
And-
thing.
Yeah, he did things. So
Mhm.
he didn't just look at me and say, well, just give me some herbs.
Yeah.
Right. Fix me.
I would like to say one thing that I think is real important
Mhm.
because a lot of times, are you guys okay with this?
Yeah.
I'm going to go left.
Okay.
Go left.
Patty knows that. Keep her.
We went left a lot today, but we're going left. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take a side trip here because I've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I was considered voodoo
Mhm.
and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was educating people to what I do and what we do and what this medicine is. And a lot of people started to jump on,
Mhm.
go off of meds
Yeah.
and start doing herbs.
Right.
But back in the beginning, we couldn't even put directions on an herb or say what it was for.
Mhm.
So we had to do a lot of politics to get where we are today. But a lot of people, as we started to grow and educate people, what
Mhm.
was happening was people were, and then Google came. Google's an expert.
Mhm.
So they Google some symptoms and then get
Yeah.
on a bunch of herbs.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. We know that in Western medicine or allopathic, taking drugs does not help the problem.
Mhm.
Okay.
Treats the symptom.
Treats the symptom.
Mhm.
So when people started to switch to herbs, and I have no judgment, when people started to switch to herbs, what happened was they said, well, you know what, if I have a headache, I'm going to take this herb.
Right.
Well, then it comes out sideways. Oh, now I have a stomach ache. I'm going to take this herb.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. Now I've got
It's whack-a-mole. It's whack-a-mole.
It is the same exact theory
Right.
as and it doesn't work. I promise you it doesn't work. And I know it doesn't work because I've been doing it for decades.
Mhm.
So just throwing stuff at your symptoms, I'm going to tell you what that's like. I'll give you a good story.
Okay.
You're driving down the street, you have this great Ferrari
Mhm.
or something really nice and
Yeah.
expensive. And this light comes on and it's blinking.
Right.
So you go to the gas station, the guy comes out and he looks and he goes, oh, that light is blinking. I know, that's why I'm here. So then he runs in and he gets some black tape and puts it over there. Your
Yeah.
light's fine. So you drive down the street and the engine seizes up.
Yeah.
We do this with the body, whether it's drugs
Mhm.
or it's herbs.
Doesn't matter.
And back in the day,
Mhm.
a few decades ago, I would actually prefer the person to be on drugs
Right.
because it was more controlled
Right.
and we had more knowledge on dosing.
Right.
Mhm.
Where the herbs was just kind of, here, let's throw some stuff out
Right.
there. And
Right.
then we had all the repercussions of playing with throwing stuff on the wall.
Mhm.
So we've gotten better with that. But still, the mentality is, I'm going to take some herbs and I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Yeah.
Right,
You
right.
have the same side effects as if you took the drugs.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Now we have a bigger problem. It's going to come out sideways down the road. How do I unravel all of that?
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And the person becomes very attached to their program because
Right.
they researched it.
Right.
Mhm.
Why did the light blink?
Right.
That's what preventative and functional medicine is.
Right.
True
Right.
functional
The
medicine.
root cause of
What's
the
the root
situation.
cause of the situation?
Yes, yes.
And it's always, 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 always in my practice, thousands of people, it has always come down to either what the person is doing, such
Right.
as lifestyle or etc.
Yeah.
Or what they are eating
Mhm.
Mm.
or how they are eating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it always comes back to what the person is doing.
Mhm.
It never comes back to what I'm doing.
Right.
Right, that's a great point. Okay, so
There-
Miriam Rier says, this topic is so needed for me. Thank you.
Well,
Also, one thing,
I got
Barbara Lamar says, okay, for great timing, the World Health Organization is meeting this weekend about setting up global health care. What does this mean in your treatment plans with who? And I don't know if that's something you even have thought about. And
Joining up with who?
yeah,
I'm not understanding the question.
I'm not
Sorry.
really either
Yeah.
in your treatment plans with the WHO. I guess if they do set up a global healthcare system,
I see. Yeah.
how it affect what
Yeah.
you do? Will you
Yeah.
have to become a member of such a thing, or
There's a lot of I've educated a lot of people
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I've written many articles
Right.
and I've sent out and I sat on
And you give seminars too. That's the other thing. You
I've
give
done
seminars.
seminars. I've
Right.
sat on investigational review
Mhm.
boards. I've gotten
Mhm.
things approved by the United States.
and working at a book too, by the way, which we're going to see
Trying to
really
fulfill
soon.
all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But
There's
I'm at a point in my life where I advise and counsel the next generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Mhm.
earned that right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't stand on the front lines anymore,
Right.
even though many want me to come. They're like, you fought so many battles, you know how to do it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm going to advise you on how to approach
Right,
this situation.
right, right.
So I have a very small little practice now. I was very big and I started going smaller and I love it. It's one-on-one. When I lecture, it's small. I
Mhm.
love that. I love the intimacy of it. I love the fact that I get to really know the person. The people
Mhm.
I journey with, they truly want to create a better story for themselves.
Wow.
So
That's
I'm
great.
so thankful to be in this place.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Dave says we have a couple of
Yeah,
questions on Discord.
Yeah. Todd K says the Genesis 129 is the healthy diet. Also, Libby, I'm sorry, my eyes are a little off today. Curious if you know about Bowen therapy, which is one of the types of massage therapy to stimulate autonomic nervous system to let the body heal. I have been blessed to have had direction from my Cherokee grandmother, so I tend to go with natural remedy in treating cause, not symptoms.
That's good.
Have you ever heard of the Bowen
Yeah, I've
massage?
heard of it. It's probably a spin-off of, I
Right.
know the foundational. I'm
Mm.
also a licensed massage therapist from 1990.
Okay.
So, and I taught massage therapy for 6 years.
Okay.
So you know the
So-
benefits of
Yeah.
it. You
And
are.
I've lectured about it. So we have like myofascial release.
Yeah.
And then we have the spin-offs.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what spin-off that is, and that's okay. I feel like if you can connect,
Yeah.
if you have a good connection with God,
Yeah.
solid in your faith,
Yeah.
because there's so much out there.
Right.
I mean, so much stuff
Right.
that the knowledge and information I have in my head has been developed over decades.
Mm.
Right now, it's like, how do you tell what's true and what's false?
Mhm.
You have to get guidance from God.
Mhm.
Definitely.
You have to have faith.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you a little secret. If you're out there Googling and researching, I've researched, I hear this from people all the time. I've done all this research, and they're so out in left field with stuff. They're not
Yeah.
even relating to physiology.
No.
And it's like, how could they even feel that this is right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Because they never stop to listen. They're only talking
Mm-hmm.
and using the intellect. I call that our itty bitty self.
Yeah.
Because the intellect is really itty bitty compared to what God and what we will discover down the road.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be thousands of years before we even scratch the surface as to the awesomeness of the design.
yes, I
So-
agree with that. But Miriam has one more question. She wants to know, does Medicare have holistic medicine offered to seniors?
We go back and forth with that. And just recently, they told me I needed to get my NPI number,
Mhm.
which is your National Practitioner Identification Number for Medicare.
Okay.
That's what she has for Medicare. Right?
Yes.
So sometimes we get really close and then it doesn't go. And then we get really close. And this has been going on for 3 decades for me. So I don't get really excited about it. But this is the first time I had to register nationally with the Medicare because you
Wow.
need an NPI practitioner.
Okay, so there's hope for these folks.
Yeah.
Okay, that is great
I would
news.
say to check your state even.
Okay.
You know, I hope so, but I cannot say yes
Right,
for that reason.
Yeah.
So-
Well, just think about chiropractors, how long it took them to get any kind of insurance to cover them. And you know,
Yes.
that's an important thing.
Yeah. So we still try to push
Can't get-
forward with things. For myself,
Yeah.
I try to educate people. I
Yeah.
offer, speaking so that I can help people out.
Yeah.
When I do seminars or workshops, I do it with a love offering
Yeah.
because I don't want to turn anybody down.
Right.
That belongs there.
Oh,
But
Right.
it has always worked out for
Right.
me.
Right. Well, that's a great thing. The other thing we talked about was importance of rest, and being that this is Shabbat. What were your thoughts about it? Does the one day of rest give us some sort of time to? I know I sleep more on the Sabbath, and I know that good sleep habits are essential to good health. A lot of the physiologists are saying you should try to go to bed at the same time every night and get up at the same time and get your 8 hours in, or whatever their view on hours is, 7. Or I'm unfortunately running 2 businesses and I'm kind of like Elon Musk. I don't sleep much, but when I do sleep, I feel so refreshed and so, beautiful inside. What are your thoughts about resting?
I almost went to this place when
Yeah.
I went left.
Okay.
That's what so
Okay.
thank you for
When you say left, you don't mean
taking a side trip with
Yeah,
information.
it was just side trip. She didn't mean, yeah. And and we got someone who wants to speak, but just talk about the rest before we get up.
Okay. Yeah,
Clody's from
right in-
Albania. Yeah,
When I talked about the ears, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth.
right.
Mm-hmm. I
And
like that.
I had one time years ago, I had to make a decision for somebody's life.
Mhm.
And it was so important that I couldn't mess up.
Right.
But the solutions to me were like, okay, one's over here and
Mm.
the other one's over here. If I make a mistake,
Mm.
they were waiting on a transplant.
Mhm.
So I could not make a
Wow.
mistake.
Wow.
And time was of the essence.
Right.
So here I am. I'm like, God, blah, 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 blah. I'm researching. I'm trying to, okay, if I go here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just constantly, oh my God, why don't you give me any guidance? What are you doing? I don't
Yeah.
understand this.
Yeah.
And so one night I wake up, it's 3:00 in the morning. Bam, I'm wide awake. So I get up, I make some tea, I go out on my lanai, and I start again.
It's gone.
God, give me some guidance. Oh,
Mhm.
please, give me some guidance. I need to.
Mhm.
The next night, because I don't sleep,
Yeah.
next night, same thing, 3:00, bam, on the dot.
Mm.
I wake up again, I'm wide awake. Same thing, makes tea, go outside. God, why aren't you helping me? Third night, 3:00, bam,
That's
wake up and I go, I am too tired to pray. And it was as clear as day, not words, but I understood it's about time. Now I can get a word in edgewise. And I realized that I was constantly trying to think through, and God doesn't talk to me in words. It's understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's full being
Mhm.
understandings.
Mhm.
And I know it's going to, because sometimes it would take a million words for me to repeat what I understand.
Mhm.
So I didn't have the words, and it came probably in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. It wasn't either or. It
Mhm.
was both.
Yeah.
You know, and minus this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's so perfect. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You know, of course
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah, what else would it be, right?
Yeah. And it really helped me to understand that if I'm constantly talking or thinking, because
Mhm.
thinking is also chatter,
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
giving my brain a break.
Right.
Then the
listen.
reality is, how can the wisdom,
Mhm.
God wisdom,
Mhm.
get inside of me
Yeah.
and come out of me?
Right.
So that day, Sunday, and
Mhm.
I tend to do it on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I figure if Saturday's my day, it's got to be my day.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I just can't function at all.
Yeah.
So I don't. I
Mhm.
sit. I try not to think. I try to be in the moment.
Yeah.
So that I'm
Mhm.
not thinking about the past or the future, what I have to do.
Right.
Present moment.
The present moment. If I
Mhm.
want to read, I do. If I don't want to read, if whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is that I'm in this moment so that God can get some words in.
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking about anything. And
Yeah.
I'm giving that opportunity and welcoming it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's what that rest is.
Yeah.
God is saying, hey, I needed a day to connect with God,
Right.
Right.
Me.
Right.
Right.
to strengthen myself. So why
Right.
don't you take a day and connect with me 100%?
Yeah.
Yeah, have no preconceived idea,
No.
have no plan.
Mhm.
And it is amazing what comes through.
Yes. If you listen, you got to be quiet enough to listen.
Yes.
Right,
And
right.
It's so full body, full
Mhm.
being, bam, understanding.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just, and
Yeah.
when sometimes it vibrates so far out that I can't even stand to be in my own skin.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Oh my, and sometimes I have pictures where like lights come through.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I mean, it just,
Yeah.
anyway.
We're gonna invite our Albanian friend Clody, which is a kind of simplification of her real name.
Yes.
Clody's gonna speak. We're waiting on. No, that's good. We got Clody coming up. Hi, Clody.
Welcome.
Shabbat
You there?
shalom. Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi everybody. Shabbat shalom and greetings, Terry.
It's out there. Hey, greetings. We got one problem with the sound. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I will change back to my speakers here.
Okay.
Okay, talk now.
Hi.
You there?
Hi.
Yeah, that's much
Shabbat
better.
shalom.
Thank you.
Is it better?
Shabbat
Okay.
shalom, Clody. Yeah,
I
we're
just
good now.
wanted- I have really this is a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
I love it. I would like to if it's possible to ask Terry about her opinion on the diet. What has she seen throughout her career? Like, is it a good idea to become a vegetarian or a vegan or a pescatarian, people that eat only fish, or I don't know. Is there any suggestion that she might have with a good diet for the epoch that we are living in? And also, I've got another question for everybody, actually.
Yeah.
I really would love to listen experiences of other people that have been listening better to God after a period of fasting, after a period of wilderness, after a period of, okay, I'm not gonna eat meat for 2 months, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna share my experience. I really was fasting and I was praying every day, and I quit drinking any alcoholic beverage at all for 1 year. And after exactly a year, the possibility comes to me that I made the Israel traveling with my sister. So it was like a very beautiful expression of love from God.
Yeah.
So if you have anything to share, I would love it.
Well, I would like to kind of surface the discussion with people are very emotional about diets. And so
Okay. I'm gonna
yeah, there's
go
people all over.
Yeah.
But I would say this: the biblical diets were, of course, the Edenic diet in the beginning, which was vegan, and then and we get into the book of Leviticus. The diet meat was added; only certain types of meat and fish were added. And of course, alcohol was also talked about. It can be to gladden your heart and so forth. But let me say this on any aspect: if this trips you up, then don't let it. If some people can't drink alcohol, we just took a month fast from alcohol. I like the benefits of it, but I like having a little wine on the Sabbath. You cannot criticize me, and I'm not going to criticize you. It's plural.
But Terry has done some really interesting.
Yeah, but let me finish
okay,
talking
go
about
ahead.
what I'm saying. And then the other thing is this: certainly, everybody that argues about diets will tell you get rid of the sugar and the processed foods. Those are not good. I have a vegan friend who weighs 350 pounds, and he eats Snickers bars or some vegan candy. Well, and he eats potatoes. Well, dude, you can't barely stand up. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, just because you go one way or the other doesn't mean you're eating correctly, and all of that. So I'm just saying, some
Everybody
people
can find it listening to its own body or brain.
And that's what I think me is I listen to my body, and the biggest thing was getting off of sugar and exercising regularly, and eating less. That's the other thing. No matter what diet you're on, you still have to eat less. There's only so many calories. Yeah, if you want to stay in shape.
Right.
So having said that, the other thing I wanted to add about fasting was fasting really clears your when I say fasting, I mean just drinking water for a day, or I've been up to 4 days without any food, just water. I don't advise this for most people, but to get my body into, as now that I'm a senior citizen, to kind of detox myself.
I love it. Whenever you say I'm a senior citizen, I love it.
Yeah, well, it happened in Italy when I just checked in there in June. And La Spezia, the lady at the hotel said, "Oh my God, you get a 10% discount. You're a senior citizen," because I'm 65. But the point is this: at the end of the day, that fasting focuses you in ways. If you do it right, we traditionally use fasting on Yom Kippur. That is not written in the Bible. It's what people interpreted from the Bible. So I want to, because we got Ross listening, and he's so literal on what the Bible actually says. I don't want to upset him. But I do believe fasting on Yom Kippur is appropriate. And one of the things I found out was my worst thing on Yom Kippur when I first did it no caffeine, because I don't drink coffee. I just drink water. And I realized I drank a lot of coffee, and I cut back and went down on that. So I think there are benefits for fasting, and I'm not saying you have to do it for multiple days, but this was used in the Tanakh for people doing fasting in sackcloth and ashes, and it's been a way to sharpen and focus your spiritual self, and it becomes apparent that how dependent the body is on being fed continuously, which is in my book that I'm writing. Well, I don't think our final state is going to be in a human body. It's going to be totally spirit, like our Father in heaven. But that's my view. I could have pissed a lot of people off, but when you read my book, you'll see why. But anyways, what else did you want to say? I'm sorry I didn't.
Yeah. Terry shared some really interesting things to me about diet and blood types and other things.
Yeah.
And what do you think about this situation, Terry?
I think, well, it's a big subject.
Yes.
And years ago, people, because I do blood work, people would come into me with books. And at some point in time, everybody was writing a diet book.
Right.
The cookie diet, the vegetarian diet, the soup diet, the macro diet, the whatever diet.
Right.
And I finally got to the point where I said, well, I can't read all these books and they're starting to sound the same.
Yeah.
So I said, but I can follow your blood work.
Right.
Yeah, I can look at that,
Right.
see how it's doing for
That's
you.
the best measurement we have.
Right.
Not everything is for everybody.
Right.
There are certain people
Right.
that need meat.
Yeah.
It's the way that it is.
Yeah.
If they don't eat meat, let's say a person doesn't want to eat red meat and their body burns through B12.
Right.
And I know this.
Right.
Not everybody burns their B12.
Right.
I know for a fact that person needs to supplement with B12 or eat red meat.
Right.
They can still choose to be.
And
the
where are they getting the
vegetarian.
B12 from? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
not everybody's designed to be a vegetarian.
Right.
Not everybody is designed to be a meat eater.
Right.
For sure.
Yes.
And you cannot cookie cut anybody.
Yeah.
Fasting
I-
diets are okay
I
for
agree
some
with that.
people.
Right.
And they're so you have to figure out which
Yeah.
one is right
Right.
for the person.
Yeah.
And how we figure that out
Yeah.
is to be silent.
Yeah.
And you start to get they're like little glimmers
Right.
where something sounds right. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I'm I'm gonna try that. And
Yeah.
it's because you've been spoken to from God. God knows what you need. So I can't cookie cut people. I write a book. In my practice, I write a book for every person.
Yeah.
People have asked me to write a book, and it's taken me 30 years.
Yeah.
I may get it out someday, but
Yeah.
for now, is for individual people.
Yes.
I do their blood work. I have a very extensive intake because I'm taking a lot of history.
Yeah.
I get to know the person, and then I write their book on how their body responds to stress.
Yes.
What they choose to do with it. Because
Right.
sometimes people look at me and say, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, well, that's okay. You don't have to. I'm not going to eliminate that. That's okay too.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I'm just here to educate.
Yeah.
Will this serve your goal?
Well, I think the blood type thing is people don't realize that the vast differences in blood types,
When you start looking at chemistry, that's
Yeah.
the foundation of our chemistry.
Yeah.
So, and we're not 100% blood
Right.
types.
Right.
Because our parents, can you believe it? They intermarried.
Right.
A's were marrying out O's and,
Yeah.
AB's and stuff.
Remember, you used to have to take the blood test before you got married because certain blood types couldn't be married.
Yes. Very fact.
That's what senior citizens remember.
That's a long time ago. But anyway, yes, the blood type, I picked up that type of guideline because I said I need to have something
Yeah.
to guide people.
Right.
And when I first started to offer that, I would offer a list of beneficial foods for neutral foods.
Yeah.
Here's a food that's dangerous and poisonous.
Right.
What I started to notice, because I would have them do a 7-day diet,
Mhm.
and I started to notice that people who came in that were really healthy, they just wanted a health check. How am I doing? Tell me.
Yeah.
I found that they were very naturally eating from the highly beneficial foods. Those were their favorite foods. And then I noticed that people who came in that had every disease known to man, they're on every drug known to man.
Yes.
Their diet is from the not beneficial,
Yeah.
the toxic. And
Yes.
so, and then when I would say, well, it's not good for you to eat this, based upon your chemistry, they would I had a woman break down and cry.
Yeah.
You can't tell me not to eat that. Okay, go ahead and eat it.
It's kind of like telling
Enjoy
an
what you
alcoholic
like.
they can never drink
Yeah,
alcohol
exactly.
again. Here's another thing that I wanted to throw in there as you're saying this. So here's something that happens. People are very ignorant about this. You're on the SAD diet, standard American diet,
Yeah.
which is not healthy. So you become a vegan or a carnivore, doesn't matter what one you choose, and you're going to get healthier for a while.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The junk food.
Because you're dropping the junk food. It's not because, right? And then is that something you can sustain through your life? And there are some big issues on all these diets that if you're just totally one way or the other, we know that apes. I don't want to be rude on it, Shabbat, but apes eat their poop for a reason because they're vegetarians and they cannot get enough B12. So they eat their poop to get the more B12 out of it. They live and they're surviving like that, but I don't want to eat my feces.
I'm going to say don't. I would never recommend this. Some people started drinking their urine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, remember the urine drinkers? Good God Almighty.
Recommended eating.
No.
So yeah, in blood type, like I said, it's not pure anymore. We have our regular and we have our subtype. So I
Yeah.
can pretty much see what a person's parents were.
Yeah.
When they start listening
Yeah.
to family history, I can tell their mother was an O, their father was a B. So I can tell a lot about a person.
Yeah. That's
from
very
what's going
interesting.
on.
Yeah.
But the food that people eat,
Yeah.
I don't say, take away your sugar and take away your creamer and take away I say, do you think you could stay away from white foods for a little while?
Not white people food. You mean
No,
just
white foods.
I'm joking.
Bread, white sugar.
Right.
They
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
me,
No,
they always
I know.
say, What is white food? White sugar,
Yeah.
white bread,
Yeah.
white potatoes.
Oh yeah. Cereal.
White crust
Classic.
stuff. And almond milk is beige.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what they do? They go, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But you know what? Why don't you not drink that gallon of milk every day?
Yeah.
They look like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, yes, I can. And when we take away those things, those are inflammatories, period.
Yes.
I don't care what blood type you are.
Right. They're inflammatory.
And the
Yes.
reason why they're inflammatory is because they're not natural. They are not in nature. They are altered nature.
Right.
So
Like this wine is altered nature.
there's benefit to it.
I read something online that it said that our stores are filled with not food, but food-like products.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they
Yes.
such a.
I agree.
Miriam has a question.
But there's two people that want to talk.
Okay, Miriam, we'll get right to you.
We'll get right to you. We're going to go with Betty. Here comes Betty. Betty. That's okay. We're just chatting here.
Yeah.
Betty.
Hey,
you know-
Shabbat Shalom, guys.
Shabbat Shalom,
I'm
Betty.
sorry. I missed the first part. I'm going to have to listen to it later. Because,
That's very good. We always start out with the Shema and the Shabbat commandment, and then we talk about this day in history. And what's our word of the week? The Hebrew word of the week?
Ben Dodi or Ben Bat Doda. Then
Right.
he had his
Cousins, and Terry is a cousin of his.
Terry.
A blood cousin. Yeah, when she found her mom, this is all from
a biological cousin, and
she's older.
Yes, I'm 4 days older. So this is cousin.
I've always been the oldest of everybody, and now she's older.
Wow.
and
Wonderful.
and she's a doctor of
natural Oriental medicine.
So it's
wow.
we talked about how modern medicine and Oriental medicine should work together. One brings you up to sustainment, the other then takes you forward, and so that's a good thing for us.
And now we're kind of talking diet, and is a diet one diet good for all, or is everybody an individual in that way?
Yeah. And it depends on what you're trying to do. One of the things in my bodybuilding that I've started is you need to have the protein or you will not build the body. I mean, those are just facts.
Some people, because we actually build protein, our muscle, from amino acids.
Right.
So if you have the proper amount, good amount of animal or plant proteins, you're going to be fine.
Right.
The problem is that people don't.
No, they don't.
If you need emergency protein, then you need the animal protein,
Right.
but you need to eat it properly also. So that's a whole other story.
No, I know. And I'm talking about the best athletes in the
Yeah.
world. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna-
Did you have
I can
questions?
tell, I just wanted to say welcome to Terry and Shabbat Shalom. So good to have you. And I'm interested in listening to all of the part that I missed.
Oh,
Okay.
I have, to make a long story short, been vegetarian since the 1990s. And
mhm,
it was a Dr. Manso from Houston who practiced Oriental medicine, who cured me. I was deathly ill, had
mhm.
been very ill for about 2 weeks, and finally Roger made me go to the hospital. I didn't want to go.
Oof. But
My back was killing me. I could hardly move. And anyway, and then all they were doing was giving me pain pills, and I mean, they weren't doing anything.
yes.
Well, as it turned out, and so we went to see this Dr. Manso, who my daughter had known. He was in Houston,
hmm
and he took one look at me, started feeling around my belly, and said, because I couldn't eat. If I would try to eat, I would have this horrible pain that would go. It felt like it was going through me.
Mm.
And he said, Miss Betty, you have diverticulitis.
Oof.
Mm.
And I mean, I'd never even heard of that, but I was so sick. So what he did, he put me on juices, like vegetable juices in a blender. And I had to do that for like 3 days.
Uh-huh.
And then I could have a little bit of fruit, and then I could add things one at a time. But he told me the same thing you did. Stay
Mhm.
away from white stuff.
Yeah.
And, and also he put me on vitamin B shots, B12. Yeah. And
Diverticulation.
So-
You can't take your bees.
Yeah.
Right.
Pardon?
You're not absorbing it.
You can't uptake your B vitamins when you have diverticulitis, is what she said.
Yeah.
So
And
you have to be given shots, like you said, Betty.
Yeah, there's
right. So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
finish, I mean, to make a long story short,
Yeah.
I went home. 5 days later, I went on a retreat with my husband and some friends in our little Messianic congregation. Walked
Mhm.
all around, had energy. I mean, I was doing great.
Mhm.
One thing he told me though was he said, you know what, you would probably be better off
Mhm.
just not eating meat.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I had already started the biblical kosher diet and was taking out, not eating the pork and the whatever, and the shellfish.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so just one thing at a time,
Yeah.
I just cut it all out, and I'm 81. I am very healthy, thank God. And I mean, I've been doing this for over 30 years, since the
Betty,
1990s.
you said vegetarian. Do you eat eggs or any dairy at all? Will you eat cheese, or is that
I
against?
eat very, very little of either.
Okay, but you
Very,
do
very
eat them
little.
from time to time. You eat them from time to time.
From time to time. I mean, yesterday, day before yesterday was Roger's second death anniversary. He
Mhm.
loved Bluebell ice cream. Okay.
Oof, no.
So Amy and her grandson and I went to the store. They went to the store and they bought Bluebell. Well, I ate Bluebell. Not a whole huge thing, but I ate some.
Mhm.
And it didn't kill me. But
Yeah.
I don't normally, do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh, Clody's funny. She goes, 81? Huh? You mean 18, Betty? Haha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's such a success.
That's a good thing.
story.
Yeah.
It
And
sounds like you followed the directions and you were
Yeah.
proactive and you made some changes and it was so
Yeah.
I did.
Mhm.
Did, and I feel good. I
Yeah.
walk every day,
Uh,
and I'm healthy, and I'm very, very thankful.
My mom
So-
couldn't eat ice cream.
Yeah, lactose.
She couldn't. She was very lactose intolerant. All right. So, Betty, we
The
definitely
only well,
appreciate-
one other thing,
Yeah.
and then I do take vitamin B, B12 supplements now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't need the shots, but I do
Oh.
that. So my
Yeah,
B12
no.
is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a great story.
It-
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And when
You're
anyone
welcome.
goes to a specific diet, and they're restrictive diets,
Yes.
they can do it, but then they have to really become almost a
scientist,
biologist
yeah.
or chemist,
Right.
because you can't just go and say, well, I'm going to eat potatoes and that's vegan.
No.
No, you can eat potatoes, but you have to eat the balance. One of the things I felt that really made me healthy was dropping sugar and a lot of breads and stuff like that, and
potatoes.
certainly any cereals and stuff. But another thing was that we started eating the dark green vegetables, and that really helped us. So I became a fan of broccoli and asparagus, and
Mhm.
I can't deal with kale, but there are other things that are
I
similar.
have some good kale recipes.
Yeah. All right, so Karen wants to get up. Or thank you, Betty. Shabbat shalom.
You're welcome. Shabbat shalom.
Say one thing, when
Yeah.
you're healthy,
Yeah,
it doesn't take one, unless it's arsenic,
yeah,
but it doesn't take one thing like ice cream on a day
yeah.
in order to create a cascade of
Right.
disaster.
Right.
If it does, you're not on the good path.
There you go.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have a fragile
Yeah.
foundation.
That was just a
Yeah.
trigger.
That
That
was just a trigger. Yeah.
Right.
So the reality is, if you do a rigid diet,
Yeah.
okay, there are many things, and I don't even have time to go through the
Right.
foundational stuff
Right.
that we are designed to have in our life.
That's
Right.
gonna be in the book.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the book. But the reality is, stepping off, if you step off, like I got stuck in 9/11 and I was driving and I ate crackers.
Yeah.
I don't eat crackers like I ate crackers then, but I was so thankful to have those crackers.
Oh, yeah.
while I was driving. So I
Yeah.
did it with joy and I did it with gratitude.
Yeah.
So the mental set is huge
Right.
when you do step off. Some
Right.
people get so rigid that we now have a new mental illness
Yeah.
called exoneurosis,
Yeah.
which is fear of eating unclean foods. I
Yeah.
have two people I work with,
Yeah.
battle with.
Right.
Yeah.
One, she eats something and she throws up.
Mhm.
She's 80 pounds.
Mm.
The other one,
Not good.
she won't eat things because she's afraid that they're poison.
Yeah.
They're gluten-free, they're GMO,
Yeah.
they're this, they're that, they're the other.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's like we've got to get away from the fear factor.
Yeah.
Because if you do it through joy and love,
Yeah.
then you can change the chemistry of
Right.
a weeble into
Right.
something that is completely nurturing to the body.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have that
Well, we-
sometimes I have severe guilt
Yeah.
after
And
indulging.
don't. We have the Oregon Freebird Karen up there. Hello. Shabbat shalom.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. That's her.
Okay. Hey, I love natural medicine. I've been studying herbology and natural medicine for about 30 years,
Wow.
Wow.
since I was 18. And my initial goal when I first started doing it when I was young, was to find some cure-all herb that was just going to heal everything.
Yeah.
You'd be able to eat as much garbage as you want and still feel good, or was going to kill, cure
Love it.
cancer. And at some point I realized that doesn't exist.
When I
It's
now
Look like that.
I
No, you don't see
accidentally
it.
ended up in alternative medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Mhm.
accidentally, right.
Yeah.
God took a brick and hit me in the head
Yeah.
because I was completely science minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I first started out, that was my mindset. You know what? I'm going to read all the greats
Yeah.
and I'm going to discover
Right.
what is going to cure all the disease because I'm kind of
Right.
smart and I have a very science mind. So I started
Mhm.
reading the greats and I read this and I went, okay, so it's not Chinese herbs. Okay, it's not Western herbs. It's not homeopathic. It's not clinical aromatherapy. And I kept going. And what I discovered was the awesome in the creation.
Right.
So science will
Amen.
never give you
Right.
a 100%
Right.
cure.
Right.
It was like this journey was going on, and
Yeah.
here I'm like, whoa, we have this and we have that. And what I discovered is there isn't one thing for any one person,
Right.
Right.
period. So I
Right.
know I'm really excited. I'm hearing your words. I was right there with it. I'm gonna cure all disease.
Did you want to say something about where you're at now,
Yeah.
or what else were you going to say, Karen?
Yeah, I have a couple of things I was going to say about this. And I know some people know, but you know how I came to United Israel is through a fast.
Oh,
Like I never fasted in my life. And my sister read this book called The Great Physician's Prescription for Health and Wellness by a guy named Jordan Rubin, who's like a
Oh.
naturopath
Yeah.
expert or something. I don't know. And she's like, I think we need to do this. I'm like, okay, you know, wasn't real excited. But we did it and stuck to it and did it for 10 days. And it
Yeah.
was, you know, shortly after that I had like a, I call it kind of like a Samuel experience
Yeah.
where there was, you know, things coming from outside me. It
Yeah.
wasn't me. It wasn't my mind. It was definitely from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, what am I? Something ain't right. I'm not doing something right. I need to figure
Yeah.
out what that is.
Yeah.
And then eventually, you know, 13 degrees of separation, I come to United Israel.
Wow.
And
That's amazing. And we're glad you did. Ross is really glad you did. He said in the,
yeah. But yeah, it was all through like clearing my mind
yes.
by
And fasting focuses that mind.
yeah, yeah, clearing all the junk out.
Yeah.
I got a water filter. I stopped drinking tap water, and that's made a big difference, by the way.
Yeah.
And then when I started, you know, I had the season of, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I had all these dreams.
Mhm.
And one night I woke up, you know, I woke up in the morning and there was a word in my head that I'd never heard before. And so I wrote it down real quick and I thought, well, I'm going to look that up later and, you know, see what that means. And the word was nephrin.
Ah.
And so I went and looked it up, and it's like it's a component in the lotus sprout that helps increase insulin sensitivity.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, what does this mean to me? I mean, how do you get? I mean, number one, it's hard to get, but it was kind of like God was telling me, your problem is you're insulin resistant, and that is what you need to work on.
Mm.
And you know, not everyone is insulin resistant, but that's my problem.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
Because of the standard American diet promotes insulin. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I've done a lot of research on how to heal insulin resistance,
Yeah.
and you know, some of the measures are kind of extreme, and some
Yeah.
people will say, "Well, that's kind of extreme," and I'm like, you know what, antibiotics are extreme, but you don't take
Yeah.
them for the rest of your life. You take them until the infection is gone,
Right.
and then you don't take them anymore. And you know, so you know, some of the protocols for healing insulin sensitivity are a little extreme, but they're only temporary. You can't
Right.
do that for the rest of your life. You only do it until your body is healed, and then you slowly, you know, add the things that you need back in according to, you know, whatever it is you're doing.
Right. No, I agree
Right.
with that 100%. Karen, that is me 100%. And you know, I feel that that also vetting your food sources is something that people
Right.
don't do. And when you do that, you realize I have a lot of bad news for people when they say this is the foods I eat. Well, this is the destruction that food is doing to this earth. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it is. I love avocados, but what avocados do to grow avocados in California, how many animals die because of avocados is mind boggling. And they think, well, I'm not eating an animal. No, but for that to grow, you're killing so many animals.
And
It's
there's
insane.
And there's ecosystem.
It's destroyed forever. So wherever we get food, be grateful.
Well,
That's
if
what I'm
there's a
trying to
saying
say.
is that for us to live, something has to
Well,
die.
that's Hindu. That's the
And
Buddha.
We get around
Yeah,
that
yeah.
fact.
They're vegans, and they say for you to live, something must die. And they try to not eat root-based plants and stuff. But I'm just saying that that's a true statement in all of life. And be grateful. You know, Nikita always brought up this thing about, hey, you're not happy with your house or your job. You're not grateful what God gave you. I love that when Nikita brought that up. Is like, wait a minute. you should be grateful though of what you have. And that gratitude, we talked about that today.
Yeah.
Gratitude is a powerful emotion that gives you a powerful
And it attracts more things to be grateful for.
right. And I'm even grateful for our cat Peaches, which I call rotten peaches. But no. But I'm just saying having gratitude for wherever you get your food from and the food sources and the workers, what it takes to harvest or to do all the, it takes a lot to prepare food for human
It's a
consumption.
lot. I studied some of the biographies of people who were in the camps,
Yeah.
Jewish people who
Yeah.
survived
Yeah.
and then went on.
Holocaust, you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And went on to live long lives
Right.
and have families and everything
Because
else.
of gratitude.
It was gratitude.
Yes.
So as I researched and read their stories,
Yes.
because I want to know, why is it that we think that if everything's going to be so clean and
Yeah.
you have to have the purest and the food and such a negative mental attitude about things.
Right.
How did these people survive when many times was eating weebles and dirty mop water,
Right.
whatever?
Right.
Was gratitude.
Right.
I
So
believe
gratitude
that, yes.
produces a chemistry in the body that
Yeah.
has the ability to change
Right.
so much and to get rid of the toxic waste.
Yes.
We have the capabilities of eliminating toxic
Okay.
waste.
Yeah.
So gratitude's
still on
huge.
Karen.
Yeah,
So-
yes.
Karen.
I like to give a shout out to all of our YouTube friends here, and they can't participate in asking a question live online, so I'm relaying some things here.
Okay. I just want to see if Karen was done.
Oh, I'll say one more thing.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
started figuring things out about probably, let's see, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
I started getting a clue of what this insulin resistant thing is. And so I made changes in our family
Mhm.
and in our diet. And, my two youngest daughters, they have benefited very, a lot from those changes. They do not suffer from the same insulin resistance problems that my sister and I do, that my two older children do.
Yeah.
Because, I cut out the toxic stuff,
Yeah.
from birth for my youngest one and
Yeah.
very early for my second to the last one.
Yeah.
And so, they don't have the health struggles that I did growing up.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
this is like stop the cycle of
Madness.
toxic food, toxic water. My youngest, she won't drink tap water. I will say that. And like if we go to a restaurant and they serve her water, she can't hardly choke it down because it tastes so bad.
Yeah.
And that's just because she's grown up on, a big Berkey water filter. And so just like they're different than I was growing up.
Well, I agree. We brought up our kids without celebrating Christmas ever. I never celebrated Christmas with Patty since I met her, and we're going to be married for 44 years next year. And that is a similar thing where when they went to school, people are like, "You don't get Christmas presents," and it just brings them up differently because I grew up till I was 16 celebrating Christmas, and my mom and dad and my brother and I all sat down and said, we don't believe in this. We're not going to do this anymore. And it was like the family all of a sudden ejected us from their spheres because it was a big holiday. I don't think it was about the birth of Jesus to them. It was about, presents and
Eating.
and eating and all that. But I just want to say, for me, I agree with you. When you bring up a person, they never had those things. They don't see the world as we do because we lived through those things. And I agree with you 100%, Karen. Karen had a shirt at the UIWU annual conference that said question everything or something like that. Wasn't it, Karen?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was
And that's what you got to do. You got to question everything because it's being handed to us like just eat this food, do this, pay these taxes, and you'd be a good little kid. And and we're not that. We're not those people. We have sought after anything to do with the Most High, and I think that's really powerful.
And
don't
taking
you?
care of the temple that houses our souls.
Our body as a temple.
It's important.
Yeah.
This is why this topic is so relevant.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing this up, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Love
Hey,
you.
thanks for having your cousin on. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
me
was
too.
it's Shabbat at our house, and
Yes.
whoever's here,
Yes.
there's a few people I won't bring on, but
No.
but not Terry, because we have such great discussions and intellectual discussions and talk about
Spiritual discussions.
spiritual and
same page on so many levels.
we're grateful that we met her, because we wouldn't have if Patty didn't look for her biological mother.
Right. Okay, so
Mhm.
back to our Facebook friends. Thank you, Karen. Back to our Facebook friends. I want to say thank you for joining us. Miriam says this info is so great. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Karen says no more kale in the garden. And that's a funny joke because one year my kale, it just exploded. It took over everything.
Yeah.
But the problem is I couldn't get anyone to eat it. The only thing I could do with it, I made some kale chips and they were pretty good.
Yeah.
And
You fry anything and it's going
and
to be
so I
good.
gave like 2 huge bags of it to my neighbor who fed it to her goats.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God.
But at least it did get eaten.
Well,
Yeah.
I like other vegetables. It's just it's not one I like.
Right.
I can't stand the pineapples for some reason. I tried, but I like the dark berries.
Uh-huh.
I like I love tomatoes.
And there's a reason for this, and Patty and I discussed it
Yeah.
at length today.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Your body needs the things
Yeah.
that you crave. Is there's something in there that your body needs?
Especially pregnant women, they go, I gotta have this. Patty always, I might have had a salt lick that I could have put in our bedroom like we did for the cows.
Well, with our first son, Danny, I craved Brussels sprouts.
No.
And so
Oof.
for some reason, there was something in there that my body needed. But
Yeah.
Miriam had a very good question. She said, what is the best protein to substitute for meat? I eat too many eggs and doctors said it causes high cholesterol, which is a myth. So I have to take meds for it since Wednesday this week. Help.
Oh,
There's a couple of
There's a
issues
lot.
there.
There's a lot of stuff that's packed in that question.
Yes.
And there's cholesterol. Let me just try to be brief. Cholesterol has gotten a really, really super duper bad rap.
Yes, definitely.
by the pharmaceutical companies, I might
Correct.
say.
And the reason, well, that's a really long story. But anyway, to be short, you have to ask yourself why the cholesterol is rising in the body.
That's true.
So once you discover the reason why it's going high and why your body's producing higher cholesterol,
Right.
then you can address the root cause of it.
Right.
So I never go in and try to lower a person's cholesterol.
Right.
Okay. Number one. What was the rest of that question?
Okay.
I wanted to add one thing that I saw on the Institute of the Human Anatomy. These guys, 2 brothers, they're doctors, and they take in cadavers and they sell them to the universities that are teaching doctors. And they said, here's something that you're probably not going to want to hear. Everyone that comes in here that's over 100 years old has high cholesterol.
Yeah.
Everyone. Everyone.
Cholesterol is a beautiful anti-inflammatory.
Right. And your brain is made of cholesterol. And
Yes, you can't- your brain.
and then on the LDL, I would say this, Miriam, I'm not giving you medical advice, but LDL, there's 2 components to it. So if you're just getting one figure on the LDL, as for the 2, there's big LDL and there's little LDL. And statins only work on 2% of LDL problems. This is known. And the pharmaceutical companies try to hide this.
the side effects are horrible.
They're horrible. And I'm just letting you know, I don't believe me. Look for this for yourself. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying, when I had a discussion with my doctor, he goes, dude, your blood pressure is so perfect and your heart rate's so low because I work out a lot. He's like, I'm not going to tell you to take anything.
Yeah.
And so I went off, this is a doctor who makes money. You know how that works, right? Doctor gives a prescription, whatever it is, call it prescription A. They get a rebate from that prescription. And if you give out a lot of prescriptions, you get a lot of rebates and you make a lot of money. And I'm just saying that's no way to have our, we call disease care.
Right.
It's not health care. That's disease care.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion.
I went through a period. Well, let me go through the cholesterol thing too.
Okay.
When a person comes in and they say, oh, my doc says I need to go on high cholesterol medication.
Yeah.
number one, I could lose my license for saying, "Oh, don't do that."
Right.
So
No, you
I
don't say that. No. No, no,
I
no.
never said it here.
Study the issue.
Study issue, and I say, well, here's a story that I can give you.
Right.
Back in the day, when fast food started to come out,
Right.
remember that cholesterol could be as high as 300.
Right.
Back when we were keeping bacon grease underneath the sink
Right.
or on the stove and reusing it
Right.
over and over.
We weren't, but
We
they
were.
We did.
People were. People
Yes.
were. So then people started to have heart stuff.
Right.
So they said, well, all these people with heart stuff, they have this high cholesterol.
Right.
So it must be the cholesterol.
Right.
So they produce, instead of asking why is the cholesterol high,
Correct.
so they started to produce medication to lower the cholesterol.
Right.
Okay.
And make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just look at the stock market, my friends.
So in the meantime, when cholesterol goes high,
Right.
I will look for inflammatory markers.
There you go.
Now, if cholesterol is high and the inflammatory markers are low, this person is good.
Right.
This person is not endangered.
Right.
They need to address things.
Right.
So when they lowered the cholesterol, what happened was the cholesterol did not keep inflammation in check.
Right.
So the inflammation, this
Right.
is a heart attack.
Right.
Right.
So when a
right.
person has cholesterol that's real high
Right.
and their body, because they're eating such garbage,
Right.
like, and I don't mean I mean like garbage, like bacon grease.
Yeah.
I don't like pig, but anyway, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And doing it every day, all the time.
Mhm.
And now their cholesterol's high and their inflammation is high. This is really dangerous.
Right.
But many people, they have high cholesterol, low inflammatory markers.
Yeah.
And they're lowering the cholesterol down and
Right.
the inflammatory. Well, now you need to get an anti-inflammatory.
There you go. So we got more pills we can sell you.
They're so inflamed because the cholesterol can no longer.
Right.
This
Right.
is big trouble.
Right.
They're open the door for a heart attack.
Absolutely.
So when I deal with it, I want to know what is creating the inflammation.
Right.
And it's going to circle back around to something the person is doing,
Right.
something the person is choosing,
Right.
Right.
whether it be from lack of knowledge or
Right.
whether it be because this is what I want
Amen.
to do.
Yeah.
And you're not telling me to do different.
No.
Well, one thing I found out about my cholesterol, I had gone up and the doctor was considering giving me a medicine for it. My reflux medicine, omeprazole,
Yeah.
causes an increase in,
Yeah, you're going to have,
Cholesterol.
when you start doing one thing, it's going to come out sideways. If you're not
Right.
dealing with the root cause.
Shit, I feel good about the way I feel.
right, effects of other medicine.
Yeah.
Same people, I mean, people think it's herbs. They're taking herbs, so they're good.
No.
You're doing
Not
the
the
same
same
thing.
created
Right.
equal.
You're doing
No.
exactly the same thing. You're
With
taking
herbs, yes.
something.
Yeah, you went from pharmaceuticals to herbs.
To herbs.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
you're patting yourself on the
Yeah,
back.
yeah. And so one of the things I kind of wanted to end this discussion
I
with.
just wanted to go to the second half
Oh.
of Miriam's question.
Okay.
Okay, then you were, I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
I want to leave her out. What is the best protein
Oh, yeah.
a substitute for meat? What plant-based proteins are good?
If you're a person that cannot eat meat,
Mhm.
okay, there are a
Or
ton,
chooses not to. Many people choose not to.
or choose not to.
Right.
Correct. You have to have a lot of vegetables and fruits
Mhm.
because we have what's called a master amino acid program or plan.
Mhm.
That means we have X amount of amino acids in order for us to produce muscle.
Mhm.
So now in this decade, we have come out with something called MAP amino acids.
Right. Right.
So a person can take MAP amino acids. I tend to do that for athletes that can't possibly get enough protein because
Right.
they're builders.
Right.
So after they work out, I'll say, do a MAP
Mhm.
supplement.
Mhm.
So you can choose a master amino acid supplement and get a good quality one.
Mhm.
The other is quinoa and pea are
Mhm.
excellent sources
Oh,
of protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peas. I love peas. I love
And a
quinoa.
lot of supplement companies, powdered, you can get a powder
Right.
that's organic and it's made from pea protein and quinoa.
Yeah.
But when you're using plants, your
Mhm.
body has to process things longer.
Right.
So once you're in trouble,
Mhm.
the best is the already produced protein. So if a person is completely
Deficient.
anemic
Right.
and so deficient,
Mhm.
sometimes we'll say eat red meat that is not hormone or it's natural and grass fed.
Mhm.
Eat that every day until you feel better.
Right. It's
Because their body
medicine,
can
if
pull
we're
it and use it
Yeah.
and eat it properly.
Mhm.
We went through this today.
Yes.
Night.
Yes.
So plants are going to take a longer time for you to be able to benefit from
Right.
the protein
Right,
benefits
right.
because it's using the building blocks.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Okay.
when I was looking at this, I know the following that I wrote down in my notes: beans and legumes, broccoli, chickpeas, edamame. Is that how it is?
Edamame, yeah.
Edamame.
Soy, it's soy.
Lentils, nut butters, nuts and seeds, oats, peas. So my point also is be careful of soy because that's an anti-man thing. It doesn't help with estrogen in men. It's not a good thing. Just be careful of soy. It's not the solution that people call it. And maybe it's good for you. I'm not going to argue with you, but there are a lot of plant-based, and these powders that they make today, the organic vegan powders, are very powerful
They're
in terms to do. So I know a lot of bodybuilders that will give you, they'll take those after they work out. So if you're pumping iron, make sure that you take out, you ingest protein after the workout, believe it or not, and that helps in the in the building. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think
So I wanted to end with one thing, and then it's been a long week, and we've been out for an hour and 20.
I thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
I know I get excited and carry on.
Well,
so.
Yeah.
I think we could really have a part 2 for this discussion, and maybe
Yeah.
we can get Terry to do a part 2 with us because it's a great topic and
Yeah.
very helpful for everybody.
Sure.
And
And you can write to us, and we can connect you with Terry for individual things that are it's too personal to talk about here. She is,
she's located physically in Naples, Florida, but I'm
Right.
sure she's willing to communicate with anybody here who needs some advice.
And I think one of the important things that I like about Terry is to educate yourself. Don't just go and, remember the days when you walked into the doctor and whatever they said, it was like Jesus saying it.
Right.
I don't mean to put Jesus down. I'm just saying.
Right.
And the other thing I would say to you is that a lot of people have found some power in goat milk and goat cheese. Again, that's another whole side of a different discussion. But the one thing I wanted to end up with is we were given this earth, dominion over this earth, and we have to take care of it. So however you decide to eat, try to understand the impact that you're giving to the planet. And every source of food has an impact on the planet.
And also choose, because your soul cannot do the work it has to do if your body's not healthy.
Yeah. And
So
and
this
again,
is so important.
and to finish my idea is that everything we eat damages the earth. Every birth we have puts a burden on the earth. So when you have 8 billion people, the earth is loaded. I mean, just for water, just for drinking water, and just for grains and vegetables. Forget any of the animal production. It is extremely burdensome on the earth, and so just remember all those things and be grateful and vet those sources if you can. I worked on a farm, a dairy farm, so I really have a beautiful understanding of what it takes.
And whatever you do, I think one of the most important messages that Terry and we all kind of conveyed is do it with gratitude.
Right.
Do it with love
Be
and
grateful.
gratitude, and be grateful for everything that we have. For life is so precious, and
and that's the congregation of the Most High. We care about this planet, and we care about each other, and we love all of you. And thank you for listening to us.
You want to do the final blessing?
I'm going to give you the final blessing tonight, and I'm kind of like at 78 hours in my week, so I'm really done. From Numbers, may Yahweh or Jehovah bless you and keep you. Jehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Jehovah turn his face towards you and give you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom. Ross is going to